by far the biggest and the largest cryptocurrency out there. There's many other cryptocurrencies out there, including Litecoin, Ethereum, etc. Now, Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies are built on their own blockchains. Blockchain is essentially the distributed immutable ledger, which is actually the underlying technology behind all these cryptocurrencies. So we've already started seeing a new job title called blockchain engineering come up. Each of these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, etc., they have their own sort of blockchain, and they all have a different take on it. For instance, in Bitcoin, we use SHA-256 as the cryptographic hash, and the miners they could have high power and highly efficient GPUs for mining, whereas Litecoin it uses a different hashing algorithm, which does not allow you any advantage. If you have a more powerful CPU, you can actually have it's more memory intensive. So therefore, these are the nuances that a blockchain engineer needs to know as to how do you actually send transactions out to these different blockchains such that they would actually get accepted, etc. How do you listen for transaction confirmations from the respective blockchains? Then Ethereum, for instance, has come up with a Turing complete language. They call it Solidity, which is essentially a language which looks very similar to JavaScript. It allows these blockchain engineers to write smart contracts. Now, smart contracts are, you can think of them as a contract which will get executed in the event X happens, then money would move, let's say, from person A to person B. One of the first distributed organizations that were built on Ethereum was called DAO. It was called the Distributed Autonomous Organization. And because of a loophole in their smart contract, someone was able to steal millions of dollars worth of Ether out of that organization. Yeah, some of the most interesting use cases that I've seen are, one of them is storage as a service. There's quite a few players in that space, like Filecoin, Storage, Siacoin, etc. By storage as a service, I mean that instead of relying on a centralized service like Dropbox or Google for storing my files, I should be able to store them on a peer-to-peer system where the folks who are actually storing my files, they will be actually paid for actually giving out their storage. Then there is compute as a service, and there's again many players over there, one of them being Golem, where instead of renting out compute power from Google Cloud or Amazon, AWS, etc., I would be able to actually rent out unused compute capacity on other people's machines, and they would be paid for it. Then there are other class of applications that are coming out, like a decentralized Uber, a decentralized Airbnb, etc. Where essentially, instead of having a centralized service which is actually charging a high fee to both parties in this marketplace, if you have it decentralized, then you can actually lower the margins over there. Then once I started my career journey, I first joined a company called Naras. It was a startup, doesn't exist anymore. It got purchased by Boeing. But my role over there was to actually make use of all the data that we had access to from ISPs, etc., for detecting badness, like detecting distributed denial of service attacks, botnets, worms, etc. So I essentially started taking courses online, as well as started reading books about machine learning, and then after a stint in network security for about 5 years. I did another 5 years of ad tech. Ad tech was another field where you have tons of data, and you have to essentially derive insights out of it such that you can actually bid on the right things. You can actually set your bid prices appropriately, and besides that, you also have to use machine learning, etc., for preventing click fraud. So I did all of that, and then over the last 2.5 years, I have been at Coinbase. So Coinbase is one of the largest digital currency exchanges in the world. The digital currencies that we support are Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and very recently we also added support for Bitcoin Cash. Now Coinbase as a company has many different products. One of them is our Coinbase brokerage product, which is Coinbase.com, where when you create a Coinbase.com account, you are actually linking your bank account, or you're linking a credit card as a payment method, and then you can actually start buying any of these digital currencies, including Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. Sure. So I'm the Director of Data Science and Risk at Coinbase, and my role involves using data for preventing bad activities on the platform, including payment fraud, account takeovers, as well as for actually encouraging growth using machine learning and essential usage of data analytics, etc. So the team that I manage at Coinbase includes machine learning engineers, data engineers, anti-fraud analysts, data analysts, as well as anti-fraud engineers. Now, let's actually break down each of those roles. So a machine learning engineer is someone who has, let's say, either studied machine learning or has actually applied machine learning to real-world problems. And these are folks who have, let's say, a computer science degree, and they are software engineers who have actually picked up machine learning along the way. Then data engineers are folks who are essentially responsible for moving data from one place to the other. So they are the ones who are doing things like ETL as an extract transform load. Essentially, they are the ones who are moving extracting data from one format and loading it into another format. ETL could involve taking the data from a NoSQL database and actually putting it into a SQL database, or vice versa. And these are the engineers who have expertise in new streaming technologies like Kafka queues, or like other streaming MapReduce technologies like Spark, or Elastic MapReduce, etc. And data analysts are folks who are very good at SQL, right? And they are also very good at analyzing data and deriving insights out of it. And anti-fraud engineers, that's a very specialized role again. It's essentially folks who are software engineers, and they know how to stand up microservices such that they can actually gather data, which would then be used by our machine learning engineers to build machine learning models. Yeah, I did an undergrad at IIT Kharagpur. That was a while back. That was trying to remember now. I graduated in 2000, studied computer science at Kharagpur. Then I did a PhD in electrical engineering at Rice University in Houston. And my thesis over there was essentially around distributed systems and computer networking, and it was around how would you actually build a scalable web application which is resilient to distributed denial of service attacks. There's many use cases for cryptocurrencies. So one of them is that it's one of the easiest ways to actually move money across borders. So if I wanted to say send money to someone who lives in a different part of the world, let's say from US to India or US to Europe, I could actually send bitcoins, and then they could on the other side actually convert those bitcoins into their local currency, into the fiat currency. So that's one use case, remittances. The other use case is you could actually think of Bitcoin as a store of wealth. Of course, if you are willing to to stomach the volatility that comes with it at the moment, at least. So there's a lot of economies where there's hyperinflation, right? Like economies of Zimbabwe, Venezuela, etc. So for them, like storing their wealth in their local fiat currency doesn't make sense anymore. So then quite a few of those folks are actually now storing their wealth in Bitcoin, right? As a hedge against inflation in their local currencies. You could actually use Bitcoins to purchase goods online, right? So using Coinbase's merchant integration, you could actually be purchasing goods on overstock.com, or you could be booking vacations on Expedia, etc. Miners are the ones who are maintaining the blockchain. Blockchain is an immutable ledger. It's append only, and it's a ledger which contains all the transactions which have happened. It's also, the most authentic record of how much bitcoins are being stored in a particular address. Now, miners, in order to actually do this, they have to solve a cryptographic puzzle where they're essentially racing against each other to make sure who is the first and the fastest to mine the next block. Each block is 1 megabyte in size, and each block could contain thousands of transactions. And in order to mine a particular block, what miners need to do is they have to figure out a particular hash for that block, which has to look of a particular format. Whoever creates a hash which looks like that format gets a reward. And that reward is at the moment 12.5 bitcoins for mining one block. So now, the way we actually prevent payment fraud is via machine learning. So, we collect a ton of signals about our users when they create an account in Coinbase, and we are looking for patterns that bad actors are using. So we train a supervised machine learning model, which essentially extrapolates all the patterns that we have seen that have been employed by bad actors, and that machine learning algorithm is then used to determine a risk score for every user who signs up on Coinbase. And then we use that risk score to determine how much of purchase power does this user have. So therefore, we can control our losses as long as we can make sure that the bad actors who are using stolen credit cards are the ones who are getting very, very small amount of purchase power, while the good users, they are getting a high purchase power. Yeah, the whole blockchain phenomenon is pretty interesting. That it's a very dynamic field, and I think universities are yet to catch up to it. I've come across a few universities which are actually now creating cryptocurrency courses. However, the best advice I have for anyone who's actually interested in entering this field is to essentially just take a look at the GitHub repositories of whichever blockchain technology you're interested in, participate in their online discussions, or start going to the developer events which are being put by Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. And that's that on the sort of getting familiarized with what does it mean to be a blockchain engineer.